Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HerStory Summit. My name is Brenda Denbesten. I'm a chemical engineer with over 15 years experience in the mining and manufacturing industry. I've worked with the federal government of Australia, as well as top tier companies like BHP and Orica. And I am passionate about women in engineering. I believe women make great engineers. And I recently created a YouTube series called Chronicles of a Female Engineer. It's really dedicated to debunking the myths around engineering, that engineering is boring, that engineering is for boys. Engineering is all about fixing cars, buildings, all the things that people think engineering is not. So I really enjoy engineering, but today's story is not very much a professional story. It's a personal story which details how I almost lost it all. And I want to tell you something that you wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at me. I'll take you back to that day. It was the 11th of the 11th, 2011, Remembrance Day. And I definitely remember it. It was my boyfriend at the time's birthday. I had planned a lovely weekend retreat down in the woods. Think of horse riding, go-karting, quad bikes, and a romantic cabin in the woods. I had hired a rental car and we were driving. The sun was shining. The beats were popping in the car. The vibe was really high. But my boyfriend told me that he had to make a pit stop. And this pit stop would change everything. You see, he had agreed to pick up a parcel for his friend. But when we got to the shopping center, he realized he had left his ID. And so he asked me to go collect it. I went on in and asked to collect the package. The ladies at the post office tried to look for it, but they couldn't find it. Tried to search around and they said, look, we're still searching. Can you go get a coffee or something? I said, yeah, sure. So I went out, got a coffee and dreamt of the plans that I had for the weekend to come. I went back in and eventually I picked up this large box. And I went outside of the shopping center with it, but two strange things happened. Not only did my boyfriend not come along and collect the package that I'd just gotten, but there were two undercover police officers that came to greet me. You see, not only was the package that I just collected being tracked, it also contained illegal substances, drugs. I was shocked. I mean, I couldn't see what was in the box and I was just taking it at face value that they were saying that I had to proceed and go with them to the interview, for an interview at the police station. So I was calm. And I thought I'd just explain to them how it had come to be. Surely that's all it would take, right? Wrong. I didn't plead the fifth or ask for the services of a lawyer. I spoke to them and told them what had happened. But after several hours, they told me, unfortunately, we cannot proceed. I would have to front a judge the following morning. I was surprised, I was shocked. I thought this was all a big mistake. I tried to, as I spent the night in that detention center, my mind was replaying the events of the day, wondering what could have changed, what could have been different, what was going on. But still, I had hope. Just one more night. And let's get this over with. The next day, I had a phone call with the lady who was the legal aid lawyer who was going to represent me. She told me, I've read your file and I'm going to do my best to get you bail. I said, yes, thank you. There wasn't much more she asked me or any questions. And I waited until my name was called. The judge read my matter, but the two words that rang out were bail denied. What did you say? Bail denied? My world came crumbling down. There was no one to the left or to the right that I could talk to. In fact, I was ferried along so that the next person could be allowed to hear their matter. And in a series of a short trip, I was ferried across to a maximum security prison in Sydney, Australia. I was scared. I was afraid. I was embarrassed. And I felt like a failure on many levels. Not only had I failed my parents, who had sent me here to Australia for a 4-year degree in engineering. Not only had I failed my siblings, that I would now have to explain to that I was embroiled in a legal battle, let alone my workplace. What would I tell them? And I'd also failed myself. Had 7 years in engineering all been for nothing? How would I tell anyone in here that I was an engineer? Who would I trust? Over the course of a few months, 6 weeks in fact, there was no TV. My birthday was spent in there. There were no Christmas presents to be had. No New Year's party. And I'll take you through a few series of steps that I take now, that I look at in hindsight, that helped me get through this. But I want to ask you guys a question, because you're probably wondering how these things will apply to you. So has anyone here ever actually been to prison? Who hasn't been to prison? Put your hands up. I see. I see. So my tale today, my story, is for you who may have experienced some unexpected events. Perhaps you've done all the right things. As a mother, raising your children 20, 30 years, and they find themselves in jail in a difficult situation. Perhaps you're on holiday, having the time of your life, and you have an accident that changes everything. The first step I had to take was to bravely ask for help. I am used to people coming to me for help. I have no problems helping people and coaching them through their issues. But it was difficult when the ball was in my court. It took courage. It took vulnerability. But there was nowhere to hide. You see, the first call I made to my brother was prefaced with, "You are receiving a collect call from Silverwater Prison. Do you accept?" He must have been wondering what the heck. And I proceeded to tell him that, look, I've been involved in an incident. I need a lawyer. I need bail. We need money. Help. I had to ask for help from friends and family and colleagues to write character references for me that would be needed for my legal battle to indicate it was out of character. I had to ask for help for work, letting them know that I wouldn't be at work on Monday as they were expecting me. But they said 3 words. 3 words that changed everything for me. I don't know if you've ever had the fear of not being wanted, the fear of not being worthy, fear of not belonging. All those fears were very real for me that day. But they said 3 words that changed it all. They said, "You're still welcome." They said, "You're still welcome." And I held on to those words. They made it worth getting out of there. There was something to look forward to. And from that day on, I said I'd give back. I'd give back to the industry. I'd give back and invest in my career. The second step is to break through your barriers. Now, I may have been in a physical confinement at that time, but many of us are in mental barriers. We face mental barriers that keep us stuck, keep us in self-sabotage, that keep us from moving forward. Perhaps we have a job that we hate, marriages that have seen better days, kids that annoy the heck out of us. But we've got that opportunity, we've got a choice. We always have a choice for how we look at a situation. And I chose to look at the glass as half full. I chose to find the small gratitudes that could help me get out of there. You see, if I'd been in a Zimbabwean prison, this would have been a whole different story. That's where I'm from originally. I can't even start to think of the squalor, rats, stale food, a thin blanket. I had access to facilities and things in the Australian jail that perhaps wouldn't have been there. So there's always something to be grateful for. And this helped me to break through. The third step is to bolster your strengths. I was only there for a short time, but I managed to get a job. I like to call it a job that I had with Qantas, the airline. In fact, the job was quite menial. I had to fix the headsets that you use to listen to music or watch a movie on the plane. There was a huge garbage bag full of headsets, all tangled up, all in a mess. And my job was to untangle them, remove the dirty earmuffs, put some fresh ones on, tie that cord around, and slip in a little UNICEF pamphlet and seal that bag. 10, 20 of those headsets were 10, 20 cents. It wasn't much, but it kept my mind occupied. It kept me feeling resourceful, kept me feeling like I was contributing and making a difference. What can you hold on to? What lights you up? What could shift everything for you until you get out of this season? The last step is to build your brand. Your past does not determine your future. And I'm happy to tell you the conclusion of the story. You see, I managed to clear my name after several months of a legal battle. I got 2 promotions in that same year from work. And I haven't looked back since. So I want to encourage you that whenever you have that setback, it's an opportunity for a comeback. Surround yourself with people that will egg you on, that will cheer you on, support you, and be grateful. Because I believe that life doesn't happen for us. I mean, to us, it happens for us. Thank you.